Yeah, I've been through much of southern Brazil, a few times to Chile, yeah, many times to Argentina, Panama, Mexico, and so on. So it's a fascinating region. As you mentioned, since I've been there quite a few times, and my books have been translated into Brazilian and Spanish, I've been able to have a lot of intellectual friends and conversations. So yeah, I'm very impressed with the quality of the intellectuals that I meet, and the students who reach out. One of the amazing things is, this will tie into the negative thing, is a large number of Latin American students in university are getting terrible educations at your universities. But the motivated and ambitious young Latin American students have access to the internet. And so they're going on and they're getting a self-education, and they are finding the smart people who know stuff that they want, and they're reaching out and they're getting a good self-education. So I'm very impressed with the ones who are more philosophically inclined and who reach out to me. They discover my books, or somehow they find their way to me. So so I'm impressed. I do think that, and this is a generalization, Latin American intellectual culture is overall bad, right? I think Latin American political culture is bad, and that's a problem, but the deeper problem is Latin American intellectual culture. And the problem is, sorry?
What do you mean when you say Latin American intellect? I agree with you, but
yes. What I mean is, and this is again an overgeneralization, right? The mainstream professors, and I've run into enough of them, right? Or the mainstream highly educated people who are the major columnists and talking heads about various sorts of issues. So unfortunately, philosophically, they have bought into an adversarial, victim-oriented view of the world. And as a result of the philosophy that they have bought into, when they put it into practice, it leads to terrible results. Yeah. But rather than owning those results and say, this is our ideology that we're practicing, it leads to terrible results, therefore we need to change our ideology, they do have a self-sealed view of their ideology. Their ideology is correct. And if things are going badly in South America, it's somebody else's fault. Yeah. Right? And so it's the gringos, right? Or it's the devil Americans, or the Canadians, the Europeans who are coming in and doing bad things for us. So I'm afraid my view is most Latin American intellectuals are intelligent, but they only get a partial education. They don't get a full philosophical liberal arts education, as I understand it. And unfortunately, the part that they get is mostly from the self-destructive part of the ideological spectrum. So I'm not impressed. I know there are lots of exceptions, but overall, I think that's the main problem. And of course, you point to the problem of the politicians. I mean, if you look at all of the indexes, Latin American, corruption indexes and so on, it's a sad story. But the politicians are typically educated people enough. They go to university, they go to law school or whatever. This is what they learn, and they just do business as usual when they become politicians. They're more a symptom of the problem than the cause of the problem. The cause is the intellectuals.
I fully agree with you, and that's why we created, for instance, Foundation for Progress in Chile, because no one in Chile is taught about the ideas of classical liberal thinkers, or let alone people like Mises or Hayek or Ayn Rand or whomever you want. I mean, they have no idea, zero clue.
Well, that's what I would say. I mean, if you are an intellectual in the humanities or in the social sciences, and you do not know John Locke, John Stuart Mill, Adam Smith intimately at a very high level of proficiency, I'm sorry, you are an ignorant person. You should not have a PhD. You should not be a professor. You don't have to agree with them. You have to know these people.